Pennsylvania, a US state, might be on the verge of investing $700 million into Bitcoin. All of that is part of a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Act, which might pass very soon. And when this is going to happen, it's going to send ripples throughout the entire world, throughout the entire financial system. And in this video, I'm going to break down why this is happening, how it's possible that something like this is happening, what are the forces behind the scenes which are influencing this potential decision, and of course, how we as smart investors can ride the wave. So many reasons for you to stick around until the end, because we're going to unravel all of this. Before we do so, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and let's dive in. Okay, so massive news. Pennsylvania is about to invest $700 million into Bitcoin. So this week, I found this tweet on X, and it said, breaking news, Pennsylvania is going to allocate 10% of its $7 billion of reserves to buy Bitcoin if it passes the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Act. Now, this sketches the context of what we're about to discuss. In case you don't know what Pennsylvania is, it's a state in the US, and it's a state government, so they collect taxes, and they have a reserve, and around 10% of that reserve might be allocated into Bitcoin, just like MicroStrategy, for example, which has been allocating a percentage of its cash reserves into Bitcoin, and they have outperformed the S&P 500 by 1,500% in the past 4 years. So with all of that success and all of those case studies, we're now seeing nation states and many companies getting into Bitcoin. And this is just one of the stories that we're hearing right now. Here, another tweet, just in the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Act introduced in Pennsylvania. The bill is a visionary step towards securing our state's financial future. State Representative Mike 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗹. So this is the person that introduced this bill, which is going to present it, and it might get approved. And that will have very big consequences, very big positive consequences for Bitcoin. But let's dissect this a little bit deeper, because there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that people might not understand. So the crypto industry has invested millions, tens of millions, probably even hundreds of millions, maybe multiple hundreds of millions, to get President Trump elected and to help him to become the next president of the United States. His inauguration will be in January of 2025. And now they're looking for a return. So they winged President Trump. They helped him. They supported him. They gave him the financial means. But now they also want to get a return, a financial return. It's like an ROI on their investment. So here it says that they invested around $135 million, according to this Bloomberg article, to help President Trump get elected. Let's dive into this a little bit more. So how is it possible that crypto companies can help someone to get elected? Well, there are many different entities and organizations that you can donate money to exert influence, to move mountains, basically, to help people to gain more control, gain more power, gain more positive exposure in the media, or help someone to speak at certain events. And you do this through lobby groups or non-profits or foundations. And one of those is the Satoshi Act Fund. So, and here you see a tweet that over 160,000 people have already used the Satoshi Act Fund letter template to urge US lawmakers to support the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill. So let me quickly unpack all of this. The Satoshi Act Fund is one of those organizations which received money from the crypto industry in order to push legislators and lawmakers to become more favorable towards crypto. So here you see the X profile of the Satoshi Action Fund, and their title or their bio is Unlocking Bitcoin's Potential, Building Policy for Lawmakers and Regulators, 4 bills into law. So they're bragging about their success. Basically, they already exerted some power to get some positive regulations in place, and they introduced over 25 bills which might get introduced or accepted very soon. So what was happening over here? They basically created a template which people could download from their website, and they could send it to lawmakers in order to propose new rules and regulations. So when you receive 160,000 letters, emails, messages with the same request, like, hey, we would like to propose this law, then at one point you cannot ignore it anymore. You need to listen. You need to have a dialogue and see what's up, see what the people truly want. So if we dive a little bit deeper into, for example, this Satoshi Action Fund, you see here the Bitcoin Advocacy organization changing the narrative on Bitcoin. And that's really important because in the financial world, we often talk about narratives. Narratives are the stories that people believe, the dominant stories that people believe. So there have been multiple narratives around Bitcoin. For example, Bitcoin is the money for pedophiles, drug traffickers, criminals, and those kind of things. That was, for a very long time, the narrative around Bitcoin. Then we saw the narrative that Bitcoin is digital gold or digital money that people can transact with freely without governments interacting or stopping it. And now, slowly, we're getting to the point where Bitcoin is seen as a solution to countries' poor financial performance. For example, the US is $36 trillion in debt, and many lawmakers and politicians see Bitcoin as a way to cut that financial debt by investing some of their reserves into something that increases in value over time exponentially, and then taking profits at some point in the future to pay off those debts. You can often look at countries like a company. They have assets, they have liabilities. And if at one point your liabilities become too big and you have too much debt to pay off, too much interest to pay, then you will enter a debt spiral, which is impossible to get out of and will ultimately lead to a country going bankrupt, and which would be very bad for the trust in that country over the long term. So organizations like the Satoshi Action Fund receive a lot of funding from the crypto industry to talk and to lobby with lawmakers in Washington. So here you see Dennis Porter. We have officially open sourced our strategic Bitcoin reserve model policy on satoshiaction.io SBR/SBR. So here you see the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Act, which is a document that they have crafted together with a team of lawyers, which you can copy and you can propose it to your government to at least consider doing something like that, or to at least have a discussion around this. And by making it easy for people to open up discussions, they want to move towards a more positive crypto regulatory environment. Here you see another post from Bitcoin Magazine. 18 US states are suing the SEC for unconstitutional overreach and unfair persecution of the crypto industry under Gary Gensler. So if you don't know who the SEC is a Securities and Exchange Commission. It's basically the government entity overlooking the financial markets, making sure that people are not scammed, making sure that everyone follows the rules, and that people are transparent, or companies are transparent about what they're doing, so that there's no false expectations when people invest in something. So the head of the SEC is someone called Gary Gensler. He has been ruling the SEC for many years, and he was running a very anti-crypto agenda. So he was making it very difficult for crypto companies to actually establish and run their operations. So they didn't really want to come out with very clear rules and regulations of how crypto companies could actually conduct business. So there was always this big gray cloud that they could one day be sued by the SEC, and they would get they would have to pay for very big amounts of legal fees in order to survive those attacks by this government agency. And now what we're seeing is the opposite happening. We're seeing the SEC being attacked or being held accountable for being unfair towards all of these crypto companies by scaring them away, by not providing very clear guidelines and laws for these companies to actually conduct their business. So this is a big shift in what we've been seeing in the past few years. So this is a very positive sign for the overall crypto market and the future of the crypto market, especially in the US. Now, Trump, when he was speaking at Bitcoin 2024, which was an industry event held in Nashville, he actually mentioned that he vowed to kick out Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC. And now, a few weeks later, we're seeing this news article that actually chair of the SEC, Gary Gensler, has announced that he's going to resign from his position on January the 20th when President Trump gets inaugurated. So this is one of the first few promises that President Trump is delivering on, and it might be, again, a very big signal that the crypto industry will soon be embraced. It will no longer be an industry that's being under continuous attacks by government agencies, banks, and lawmakers, but now actually it might become part of a bigger, wider discussion of, hey guys, we're in this together, let's make the best out of it, and we want to do it in a fair and positive way so that everyone wins. And one of the key figures in this process at the US government level is Senator Cynthia Lummis. Of course, she's backed by many crypto companies and lobby groups, but she is one of the biggest people advocating for a Bitcoin strategic reserve asset. And she believes that if the US is going to invest in all of this Bitcoin, then they could use it to cut down on the debt in the future. And every single day, we're seeing more positive moves and steps towards achieving that goal, where this bill is introduced to the government and the lawmakers, and now they're soon going to vote on whether they're going to accept this bill or make big changes. And as part of this bill, there's a plan that in the next 5 years, the US is going to buy up to 1 million Bitcoin to stack up its Bitcoin strategic reserve. So that's a massive amount of Bitcoin that they're going to buy up from the market. Imagine there's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be in circulation. If you buy 1 million Bitcoin, that's a very significant chunk. That's almost 5% of the supply that will ever be available. And it would require many billions to buy that up from the market. So a lot of money might be pumped into the market, propping up the price of Bitcoin in the next few years if this bill will be passed. So here again, this is based on what President Trump said at the Bitcoin 2024 industry conference. President Trump vows to keep 100% of the Bitcoin reserves that the US is already holding. So currently, the US holds around 200,000 Bitcoin, and countries like Germany, they were also holding a significant chunk of Bitcoin, but they sold it off a few months ago at a $68,000 market value, and they raised like $3 billion by selling that Bitcoin. But instead, if they held onto that Bitcoin, it could have been worth a lot more in the future. So Trump and all of these pro-crypto advocates and politicians, instead of selling that Bitcoin, they want to hold on to that Bitcoin pile and they want to actually grow it, which is really interesting. So I want to zoom out a little bit, and I want to mention what I'm observing in the world. Now, in this video, we were very much focused on Pennsylvania, which is a US state, but we also spoke about the US government. But I want to look at this in the broader picture of the entire world. There's this theory called the Domino theory, and it says that every domino can push over another domino that's 1.5 times its size. So that's bigger than its own size. So here you see an image of this, how it looks like. So you start with a very small domino, and it starts to push over bigger dominoes and bigger dominoes until you push over this massive domino. So it's a chain reaction that gains momentum along the way. And for the past 15 years, again, Bitcoin came super far. It went from a very niche asset where we saw only like basement geeks, academics, tech geeks, early adopters, academics use this technology. And now we're seeing that nation states and the largest asset managers in the world are getting adopted. We are now on the verge of entering mass adoption, but we're still right in front of the big mass, all right? The sheep, the large crowd, the late adopters aren't in the market yet. It's still a moment to make generational wealth, especially if all of the things that we've discussed in this video, nation states adopting Bitcoin, large publicly traded companies adopting Bitcoin, and this triggering a chain reaction that more countries will adopt Bitcoin, more companies will adopt Bitcoin, more individuals will adopt Bitcoin. Again, I believe that trillions, not even billions, but trillions will flow into the market in the next few years. So my question to you is, are you prepared for what is about to come next? Are you ready to ride this tsunami? Did you get any useful insights from this video? I'm really curious. Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed watching this video, then also make sure to smash the like button and to subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be posting videos regularly throughout this crypto market cycle to help you to get an edge in this market and to help you to maximize your profits. All right, that being said, peace out, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Have an amazing day.